A sword forged in digital fire. A starship built from code and dedication. A virtual bank account holding billions in fictional currency. We think of these things as escapes, pixels on a screen, harmless entertainment. But what are they truly worth? For most, they are a hobby, but for some, they become everything. We are told that what happens in the game stays in the game, but this is a story about the times that rule was broken. This isn't just about scams, it's about betrayal. It's about the thin, terrifying line where a virtual crime becomes a real-life nightmare. These are 5 true stories of in-game deceptions that escalated into real-world tragedies.
But theft in EVE Online can be even more personal. It can be a long con. This is the story of the Guiding Hand Social Club. In 2005, a powerful corporation called Ubiquitous Seraph ruled a sector of space. Like any big company, they were always recruiting. A small group of players, calling themselves the Guiding Hand Social Club, joined up. They were model employees. They were loyal, hardworking, and dedicated. They climbed the ranks. They made friends. They were invited into the inner circle. For an entire year, they integrated themselves into the very fabric of the corporation. They earned the highest levels of trust. And then they struck. It was a perfectly coordinated attack. In a single night, the Guiding Hand assassins located and in-game assassinated the CEO of Ubiquitous Seraph. Simultaneously, their other agents, now in high-ranking positions, used their permissions to seize everything. They emptied the corporate hangars. They drained the bank accounts. They stole ships, blueprints, and assets that had taken the corporation years to build. The total value of the heist was estimated at over 16,500 USD.
Our first story takes us to Shanghai, 2005. The game is Lineage 2, a sprawling online world where status and power are everything. 2 friends, Chu Changwei and Zhu Kaoyuan, spent hundreds of hours fighting side by side. They built a bond of trust, the kind forged in digital warfare. As a symbol of this trust, Chu loaned Zhu his most prized possession, a dragon saber, an incredibly rare and powerful virtual sword. Chu had won this item after a long and difficult quest. In the world of Lineage 2, it was a legend. In the real world, it had a tangible value. Zhu knew this, and he decided to cash in. Without permission, Zhu sold the dragon saber to another player for 7,200 yuan, over $1,000 USD. When Chu discovered the theft, he was devastated. It wasn't just the loss of the item, it was the profound betrayal by a friend. He did what any victim would do. He went to the police. But this was 2005. The officers were baffled. How do you report the theft of something that doesn't technically exist? They told him it was a civil matter, not a criminal one. Frustrated and enraged, Chu confronted Zhu in person. He demanded his property back or the money. Zhu refused. The argument escalated. The virtual dispute violently tore through the barrier into the real world. Chu, in a fit of rage over the digital betrayal, pulled a real knife. He stabbed his former friend repeatedly. Zhu Chaoyuan died from his wounds. The case shocked China. A man was dead, murdered over pixels on a screen. The virtual world had just claimed its first, but not its last victim in such a brutal way. Chu Changwei was arrested and sentenced to life in prison, all for a sword that existed only in code.
Our next story takes place in a galaxy far, far away, but the consequences were felt right here on Earth. The game is EVE Online, a ruthless universe of interstellar politics and player-run corporations. In EVE, trust is the most valuable commodity, and in 2006, one corporation, the EVE Interstellar Bank, or EIB, had earned that trust. trust. It operated like a real bank. Players deposited their in-game currency, ISK, and EIB promised massive returns on their investment, sometimes 50% per week. It seemed too good to be true. It was. EIB was run by a player known as Callie. He was charismatic, reliable, and built a reputation as a financial genius. Thousands of players, from casual miners to the CEOs of massive corporations, invested their fortunes with him. They poured their life's work into his bank. Then one day, in 2006, Callie vanished. The EIB website went dark. His character was deleted. The money, all 790 billion ISK, was gone. In real-world terms, Callie had stolen approximately 170,000 US dollars. It was the largest Ponzi scheme in gaming history, but the damage wasn't just financial. This was a community. Players reported real-world emotional devastation. People lost years of work in an instant. They had been betrayed not just by one man, but by a system they believed in. The ripple effect caused market crashes and corporate wars within the game, but the real victims were the thousands of people who logged in to find their savings, their hard work, and their trust completely obliterated.
Sometimes the scam isn't a grand corporate heist. Sometimes it's a quiet, personal violation that attacks your very identity. This brings us to the world of RuneScape. A 19-year-old player, let's call him Mark, had played the game since he was a child. His account wasn't just a character, it was a diary. It held a decade of his life, his achievements, his in-game friendships. One day, he received an email. It looked official, warning him of a security breach and urging him to log in via a provided link to secure his account. He clicked. He entered his username and password. The website looked identical to the real RuneScape login page. Within seconds, his account was hijacked. This was a sophisticated phishing scam. The hackers stripped his character bare. They took everything, his rare items, his in-game gold, his entire legacy. When he finally regained access, he was left with nothing but a basic character in starting clothes. The loss was so profound that Mark fell into a severe depression. His parents, in a later interview, said he was inconsolable. He had lost more than a game. He had lost a part of himself. This loss of a digital identity, an identity he had spent years building, triggered a real-world mental health crisis. The scammers didn't just steal his virtual items. They stole his history, his security, and his well-being.
Our final story is perhaps the most tragic, as it combines financial ruin with the deepest form of emotional betrayal. This case involves World of Warcraft and a middle-aged man we'll call Adam. Adam was lonely. In WoW, he found a community, and one day he met Sarah. She was charismatic, funny, and empathetic. They started playing together every night. They talked for hours, not just about the game, but about their lives, their hopes, their fears. Adam fell in love. After months of building this deep, emotional connection, Sarah's story took a dark turn. She told him she had been diagnosed with a serious illness. She needed money for life-saving surgery, but her insurance wouldn't cover it. She was scared, and she was turning to him, the person she trusted most. Adam didn't hesitate. He wired her thousands of dollars. Then she needed more for post-op care, then for medication. In total, Adam sent over $20,000 of his real-world savings. And then, Sarah disappeared. Her account was deleted. Her chat profiles vanished. It was all a lie. Sarah was a catfish, a scammer who had preyed on his kindness and loneliness. The entire relationship was a fabrication designed to steal his money. The aftermath for Adam was catastrophic. He was financially ruined, but the money was secondary. He was emotionally shattered. The person he had loved and trusted, the person he had poured his heart out to, never even existed.
This profound breach of trust, this blend of a romance scam and financial fraud, led to a complete psychological breakdown.
A murder over a virtual sword, a Ponzi scheme that bankrupted thousands, a year-long infiltration built on lies, a digital theft that stole an identity, a romance scam that broke a heart, and a bank account. These are not just game stories. They are human tragedies. They serve as a dark reminder that the emotions we invest in our digital lives, our trust, our time, our friendships, our love, are very, very real. And when that trust is betrayed, the consequences can be just as real and just as devastating. The line between the game and the world is thinner than we think. It forces us to ask, if it all disappeared tomorrow, what would you have lost? A game or a part of yourself?